It seems as though Arsenal aren't doing anything this transfer window. There seems to be zero concrete links and everything seems to be undercover. But something is telling me there is something cooking behind the scenes. But before I get into it, guys, if you're new here, please smash the subscribe button. And of course, smash the like button. It would be greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's begin. Let's just start about what is needed when Arteta is looking at a signing. I think this is the best way to maybe see why there is not many targets and what we are actually looking for. We have to start with the mental side of a player. Have you got the motivation? Are you looking to improve continuously? Are you happy to listen to the people around you, whether that be the manager or your fellow teammates? That is important to Arteta. I'll give you this story about Ivan Toney, for example. We were heavily interested in him and it seemed as though he would be the striker signing this summer. But there was something which was off-putting for Arteta and his management. They saw, in terms of his mentality, he was too arrogant. He wouldn't fit into the culture of the club. And although they appreciated him as a player, they just knew that this would be destructive rather than being, helpful to us being a better club. He may have come into the team and helped us and improved us, but what he would have done maybe behind the scenes or maybe what he would have done in training wasn't enough to warrant him coming in as the number 9. If we compare that mentality to the mentality of someone like Gabriel Jesus, who was signed last summer, somebody who's willing to work, somebody that's happy to put the graft and hours in on the training pitch, it's very different. You've got something that you can work with, and even though Jesus may not have the goal scoring prowess of Ivan Toney, his mentality and his work ethic is enough to bridge that gap in goals, and Arteta is able to bring more harmony with players like Jesus rather than how he would with players like Ivan Toney, who we know have already been banned for acting against the laws in football. Now, obviously, mental profile, but then also skill and availability. That is the next thing Arsenal are looking at in a player. You have to have the ability to come into the side or either improve it or provide good enough, I don't like the word backup, but good enough rotation for the players that are supposedly in front of you. If we look at a Saka backup, apparently Arsenal have been trying to get a Saka backup for years. They've gone for Rafinha, who's at Barcelona. They've gone for Jarrod Bowen, rather ambitiously, who's at West Ham. They have gone for Ansu Fati as well. They've gone for so many different players in the hope that they would be able to be the one to come in and deputise for Saka. But they just found that these players were all missing something, or they just lacked an important part of their game which Arteta needed, whether that be their ability to press, whether that be their ability on the ball, whether that be their passing, whether that be their availability. We've talked about players being injured. Look at Reece James, for example, at Chelsea. I know it's a different club, different player. Look at the amount of injuries he's had. If you were to splash your cash on someone like Reece James and bank on their ability rather than availability, you'll be in for a shock because you may not have that quality player for like 50 games. I look at good purchases that we've done in the past, the likes of Ben White. He was an absolutely incredible purchase. Somebody who is always available, somebody that is willing to work, somebody that's got a lot of ability. He ticks every single box of an Arteta player. And he was one of the players that actually started the revolution in terms of, our new transfer strategy, the new way we look at things. And I think we can look at Ben White as the baseline when we look at the players we're linked with. Do they have these criteria? Are they able to be available for the way Ben White is available? Do they have the ability to come into the side or provide competition to the players ahead of them? These things are very, very important for Arteta and the recruitment team. And that is probably a reason why we're not seeing many links right now. And I now go on to the next point, which is price. Price is a big thing for us. We have the best wage structure in the Premier League. And that is by no, fluke. That is by no, random planning. It's because we've planned and we've thought out players that we're signing. We know that the quality players in the market are going to demand high wages, but we know there's a limit to the wages we can pay. Look at a player like Williams, the winger at Atletico Bilbao. Everybody wants to sign him, but they're just seeing he's demanding £350,000 per week. And for a club that wants to be sustainable and with how tight PSR is, you're not going to pay a player who is relatively young, inexperienced, although has all the ability in the world, that sort of money. And that is why we're able to keep our wage structure so good but still be performing on the pitch. Of course, there's going to come a time where we might need to break it ever so slightly. We look at the likes of Bukayo Saka, who's now one of our highest paid players. We look at Martin Odegaard as well, one of our highest paid players. These players are players that will break the wage structure, but you just know it's going to be value for money. You know that you're going to absolutely get every penny back through their performances on the pitch. And my final point is about training. A good trainer is crucial not only to the development of the player but also the development of the squad. You want your players to be serious in training because most of the time what you do in training translates onto the pitch. I don't know if you remember the Amazon documentary where we played away to Nottingham Forest. The anger in Arteta's eyes when the players were, doing these silly mistakes. Because he said in training he wants you to play in a certain way. He wants you to play at a high intensity because you'll struggle when it comes to match day. It doesn't matter. These training matches should be like the final. You should treat every training session like the final. You should treat every single game like the final. And Arteta really needs to be sure when signing a player that they're going to fit into this culture he has built up. Everyone at Arsenal knows that it is essentially war when you're going into training. You want to be better than the player who's playing ahead of you, and you're going to do it by any means, whether that be pressing intensively in training, whether that be, helping and communicating with other players in training as if it's a game. These are very, very important things when Arteta is looking at signing somebody, because if you're not able to do this, like I've said, how is this going to show you on the pitch? Are you going to be able to really switch on and change and show that you're able to adapt to match days? It's very unlikely. And it goes back to last season where there was almost times where Arteta would have to stop training sessions early because players were just too intense in the middle of the title race. And this is what you want to see. You want to see this sort of dedication on the training pitch. You want to see players that are willing to fight, because they know in the end it's all going to be worth it. There's this silent arrogance at Arsenal that we know we're going to at least have success within the next 2 seasons. We know that we're there and thereabouts, and we know if we train the right way, if we play the right way, we listen the right way, we take in what Arteta wants whilst challenging, his principles to make us better, we will be a dominant team. So that comes back to the players again that we're bringing in. The players that we're bringing in have to have that mentality. They have to want to train well. They have to want to win. They have to be able to listen. And this is why the recruitment process takes such a long time. You can't just pick out someone like, oh, okay, let's go and sign Onana from Everton. Are you sure that every background check you have done is accurate? Look at João Neves, somebody that we've been scouting for months and months and months, according to the reports. Again, background checks. You have to be able to know that this player is mentally, physically and ability wise ready for the club. But goodness, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Just a bit of inside information really, and what Arteta is actually looking for in a player before he signs them. Until next time, goodness, peace.